It's been a little while since we worked on the skinning knife. This isn't my full-time job, so, do what I can. So here's where we're at. We figured out that we want a 2.9 degree bevel. It's going to come up to about right here. And I'm going to use 3 of these 1/4 inch G10 pins to hold the SureTouch G10 on. So what we're going to do is lay these out and then drill them. So I like to have one pin right up here by the finger hole. And I want to place that halfway in between. So that's a good halfway mark. Then we'll come back here, do the same thing. All right, so now I'm going to measure between these two and make sure that my marks from previous were halfway. And it is halfway. And we'll mark our pin in here. So now I have my spots for my pins. So these are going to get drilled out to 1/4 inch. And then we're going to drill some smaller holes through here because I like to have somewhere for the epoxy to flow. I'd like to have it be able to cross tie in between the two sides. And I think it's just a good practice to do that. So let's go to the drill press and we'll get these 1/4 inch holes knocked out first. Okay, we're going to start with a real small drill bit so that we don't get any wandering. I don't worry too much about clamping this when I'm working with such a small drill bit. The bigger ones, I 100% always clamp this. Maybe we'll just clamp this down as long as I'm making a video and keep it from rattling a little bit. That's better. Okay, I'm going to swap bits and we'll be right back. Okay, I had to throw a quick sharpen on that drill bit, but I think we're ready to go. So I'm just going to pop that on that pilot hole. And like I said, we're going to clamp this down. One down. There we go. That's great. I'm going to switch back to a smaller bit, and then we're going to put in the smaller holes like I was talking about for the epoxy to cross tie. When we do these holes, it's important not to get too close to the edge any way around, all the way. So we're just going to stick to the main meaty portions and just get, like I said, give the epoxy a place to flow and to be able to go all the way through and cross tie between the two. So I'm just going to run some holes in here, and I'll speed this up so it doesn't take so long for you. There we go. That should be pretty good. I stayed away from the edge as well, but I got plenty of holes in there. And now I'm going to countersink all of them. The countersinking, it prevents the edges from sticking up and holding the scales away and everything, but it's very important, I think, for the pinholes, because I countersink them down, and that allows a little epoxy to get in there and kind of form a wedge on both sides. And then what I do with my pins is I take in the center that's inside there, I take and just give a little bit of a groove all the way around it. Just spin it on the edge of a sanding belt just a little bit. That allows epoxy to flow around that too. So between those two, you kind of get the pin locked in with epoxy really well. I think that's important. I don't want pins coming loose on any of my knives. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and chamfer both sides of these, and we'll speed this up for you again. Okay, so now you saw that 2.9 degrees I had written on here. That's going to be the angle of this main bevel. So we're going to go and put the rough grind on this pre-heat treat. So it's easier to grind steel away, obviously, before it's hardened. So we put just a rough bevel on this, and we leave the edge fairly thick. And also you can see how the point, is that focusing? How the point is still blunt. I don't like to take that down to a really sharp point right away either. I'd rather leave it blunted, that way it doesn't overheat. So what we're going to do is I'm going to mark the edge here so that while I'm grinding, I can tell that everything's even. It's important to get everything even, otherwise you wind up with warpage and all sorts of other things you don't want. So I'm just taking just a regular marker, coloring that in. Then I have this little tool. Can you see the little scribe? There's a little scribe right there. Maybe difficult to focus on. And I can adjust this in and out. And you just lay this on here and scribe a line. So we're gonna see, I think it's pretty good right now. You scribe one from one side, one from another. And it just gives you a good visual reference while you're grinding. Like I said, you want to stay even. Alright. I think that's showing up okay. So now we'll take this to the grinder, get it all jigged up, and put our rough bevel on. Now, when I say rough, I mean rough. It's not going to be way up here. It's not going to be super even. This steel grinds much, much easier once it's hardened and you go to finer grit belts. All I'm trying to do here is remove some of the steel pre-heat treat so that it's less grinding I have to do after heat treat when the steel's hardened, for a couple of reasons. Yeah, it's easier to grind when it's soft, but also the less grinding I have to do, then the less chance of this blade heating up. And I'm real careful. I always make a pass, dunk in the water, but you still want to minimize the amount of belt time that you get if at all possible. So let's go over to the grinder. So my platen is nice and flat. I've surface ground it recently. I've checked to make sure that my tool rest is dead square with this, perpendicular. Now what I want to do, that 2.9 degrees, that's per side. So I want to make sure this platen is tilted in 2.9 degrees with respect to this. So I toss my angle cube up here and I zero it out. Then right now, see, I'm at more like a 17 degrees, or I'm sorry, a 7 degree, because this should be a 90 would be perfect. So I'm 7 degrees tilted back. So that's the opposite direction that I want. So I'm going to loosen this up. There's two different sizes here. And we want 2.9 degrees. Oh, I had it. I think 93 will be fine, because I can fine tune this later if need be. 1/10 of a degree, just not going to make a difference in the grand scheme of things at all. Well, now it drifted on me a little bit. I'd rather have it be just a little bit higher in degrees than lower. There we go, 92.9 on the nose. All right. 92.9 on the nose. I'm liking that. Now what I'm going to be starting out with is a 40 grit ceramic belt. It's well worn. So when you start off grinding, you're going to be starting off with these hard edges. And if you use a brand new grit belt against this sharp edge, it just takes off way, way, way too much grit all at once. So we're going to start off with a well-worn belt, and we'll break that edge. And then if need be, we'll go to a sharper belt. I've got a new 40 there that will absolutely take plenty of material off, but we're not going to be removing that much. This isn't a very thick knife. I'm going to get all this set up and I'll be right back. Okay, I've got this tied to a 1, 2, 3 block. I'm going to start the grinder and then we can just start our grinding. After I track that belt a little bit. Let's start off nice and easy and slow. Take a little bit more through here, and then on to the next side. I'm going to get this switched around to the next side and be right back. All right, here we go. Be careful when wiping this down. I should shut this off. I've had the towel get pulled in there. And to work on this area.
I know a lot of the double lines, like what you see here, they aren't even waves in them and up and down and not ideal, but all of that stuff will be taken care of post heat treat. It's easier to grind nice lines on a hardened blade, and you're using finer grit belt, which also makes it much easier to really even out all those lines. For post heat treat, we're going to take this knife and really grind it down to a very nice thin edge, good cutting geometry, and we'll even up all of those double lines and everything to make it look good. No worries.
So we do have evening up to do, but we have the blade thinned down. I don't want to take the tip any thinner. We have the bevel started. This will all be much easier to grind after heat treat. So that's the next thing. We're going to harden this up, heat treat it. I just have to go and get some liquid nitrogen for my cryo, and that'll be the next edition. We'll cover heat treating this S30V blade. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Let me know what you think. Throw me a thumbs up. I always like to know that you guys are enjoying the video, and thumbs up is the best way to do that. We'll see you with the next one.